Hi, good evening. Welcome to Community Homeworks. Tonight we have a special workshop in that we are not going to be doing our workshop live. For the month of May, we are taking some time to look at our plan for the future and to get everything lined up for the coming workshops and finish up a few projects. And so, instead of doing live workshops for the month of May, we are going to be bringing you rebroadcasts of some of our favorite workshops from the past. Tonight's workshop is actually a rebroadcast from last February, actually 2 Februarys ago, February of 2021. And it's one of our favorite workshops. We had a group of 3 instructors plus our own Gene Walker, who brought you a workshop entitled favorite hand tools. And so it's a fun one. It's one that was very entertaining, and I hope you enjoy it as well. I did want to thank you for joining us again, and I wanted to mention that if you decide to make a comment down in the comment section, we will still try to answer those at the end of the broadcast this evening, or if we're not able to answer them since we don't have our fleet of experts here with us, we will have to get back to you on those. So we will try to do that the best we can. But we're going to bring you our workshop for tonight, which is favorite hand tools. So here it comes. Thanks again for joining us.
Hi. I don't know how much of it you've already heard. Let's start over. Hi, my name is Jean, and I am the Education and Volunteer Coordinator at Community Homeworks here in Kalamazoo. So glad you've been able to join us tonight for our class on hand tools. 3 of our instructors will be sharing their favorites. Hopefully there'll be some new ones for you to learn about, or maybe a new way to use something you already own. I'd also like to remind you that Community Homeworks provides critical home repairs to income qualified families here in Kalamazoo. If you think you have a repair that we might be able to help you with, please contact our office or send me an email at education@communityhomeworks.org. We would be glad to get an application to you and hopefully be able to provide some services to you. Joining us tonight are 3 of our favorite instructors. Jason, can you invite them to join us? There's Sam and Harry and Gary. They have all taught classes for us for several years now. I hope some of you have had the opportunity to meet them in person and learn something from their vast array of knowledge. We're going to start with Sam tonight. This is Sam Eubanks. And Sam, would you share a little bit about yourself and then share your favorite tool with us?
Hi, Jean. Hi, everybody. Glad you're doing well. Wish we were doing this in person, of course. I'm a remodeling contractor who's been in the business for 30 plus years now. Have lived in the Kalamazoo area since 1999 and got involved with Community Homeworks a few years ago doing weatherization classes, and a fun class that I really like is building the interior storm windows, which I hope we can do again. And so I'm real honored to be here tonight. I appreciate you guys inviting me along. So hopefully some of the tools I have here you'll find interesting, if not useful. And I guess the first one I'll start with is one that saved me from losing a number of fingernails over the years. At least I hope so. And I don't know if I can get it on the screen. Well, it's called a slide shooter. And basically it's a rod with a handle on it that goes into another piece of tubing that's hard. They're both hardened. And what you can do with this is you stick a nail in the end of it and then wait for it just to come out a little bit. And then you can use that to nail remotely or far away into an area where you can't get your fingers in with a hammer by itself. When I first started out in the trades, I used to do a lot of joist hanger nailing and lost my first thumbnail that way, smacking the thumb directly instead of the nail head. So this way is a lot safer, and and saves a lot of time when you're using it. So
It is so cool. I have never seen one of those, and my grandpa had tools that I had never seen either. But that's so cool. Please bring it to class sometime. I'd love to see it in person. And
will
try
do.
it.
Yeah. I used to. This one's called a slide shooter, but I got to know it by the name of a pea shooter. So.
I was gonna say, and can you do things other than nails? We'll talk about that.
You could.
So Harry, can you pop that one?
Well, first I want to say that is the coolest tool I've ever seen. I mean, I got to the point when I was doing joist hangers where I had to go out and buy a positive placement nailer, and that was a whole lot cheaper than this one. So I mean, this is the positive placement was a whole lot more expensive. So that was great. Okay, well, my name's Harry Jackham. I have only been here in the Kalamazoo area about 4 years now. Came from the east side of the state. And while I was there, I taught residential construction at the high school level, residential construction techniques at a college level. And that was after years of teaching middle school, which is probably why I have a lot of gray hairs here. I also spent a lot of time with Habitat for Humanity on the east side. I was the construction manager and the general contractor there. So it was a great time, but we really enjoyed the west side of the state. What have I been with Community Homeworks? About what, 2-3 years, maybe 4 years? Yeah, so I've enjoyed the time, and I really hope we can get together one-on-one, personal, because this is fun, but it's not the same. So I'm going to just start off with the tool one of the tools I like, and probably people have seen this. This is affectionately called a cat paw, which looks like a cat's foot. And this is the kind of thing that you use to pull nails that are driven home. And since I worked with high school students, and since I worked with, there's your cat right there.
Right.
I like the cat paw better than the cat, but that's okay.
Nice boy.
Anyway, this is when I worked with high school students and Habitat people, we had to pull a lot of nails. And this is one of those things. Jason, if this gets a little loud, you can go ahead and knock off but you just hammer this into a nail. And I used a small nail here just because it's a lot less work to get it off. But one of the things I wanted to show was this. Can you put the sound back on now?
It's
on. Or is it on? It is on, okay. This is something I picked up many years ago. It's a nail puller. And you can see the little claws that are on it. I'm hoping that shows. Yes, it does. Okay. And this works very similar to where the little claws, and I'm hoping, can we see? Yeah, we do see that. Okay. You put that over the nail head, and you can either use a hammer to drive this in, or it's a self-driver. And then it takes and grabs a nail and pulls it out. This is one of the neatest little tools. It's kind of, well, obviously, if you're carrying with a tool belt, you'd much rather have this than this. But a friend of mine had one. He showed it to me, and I happened to see this at a flea market sometime, and I said, I got to have that.
Man, you're going to just entertain me no end tonight. I'm so fascinated by all these things.
Oh, this one here is probably a good 70 to 100 years old.
I'm going to have to look when I go to the flea markets and see what I can find. What did you have to say, Sam?
I was going to say, I do a lot of remodeling, and I've got my trio of cat's paws here next to me, and they're an invaluable tool, that's for sure. Even you know, if you want to deconstruct something, having a cat's paw like that is a great thing to have.
Great. Okay, Gary. I'm sorry I put you third, man. You're gonna have to work hard to top those two.
Boy, I'm going to start out dull, but my career went from truck mechanic, electrician, HVAC, steam, building inspection, associate degree, of course, and I teach your water heater class. So yeah, I start out as a truck mechanic, but one of my favorite tools is the humble crescent wrench, and I have a whole box full of real wrenches, but just to there we go. Just to get right on and open things up and away we go. It's hard to beat having a crescent wrench in your pocket, ready to do things. What you do have to do to make the best use of this, you see the thumb action here. Always be wiggling that tighter. Otherwise, yeah, you round it off and it makes it look like it's a bad tool. But if you keep your thumb on there and you keep working and keeping that tight, it really does accomplish something. And then they do work this direction too. You can do, absolutely whatever's necessary. And I'm going to jump ahead just a tiny bit here. And a way to gain leverage is to get on your screwdriver bit with your crescent wrench. So, next.
Thank you. Well, I learned something new about the crescent wrench too. I'm so glad I get to come to all the classes that we offer. It's really scary. Some of my friends think I'm as smart as you guys now just because I go to classes, and I keep telling them no, but I can ask an expert. So, Sam, you're my next expert. What are you going to show us?
Well, I've got a question for Gary. Gary, can you show us that what you were doing right at the end there? Were you putting the crescent wrench onto your screwdriver so you could be able to turn the screwdriver on it for a difficult screw or something?
Yeah. So a 6-way screwdriver, I guess I should make my next tool. And we can get up here and which there are times you're taking the screwdriver, you're putting all your weight and your muscle directly into it and trying to get the torque. So sometimes it's worth putting that extra lever on there.
Yeah, and I think that just finding all that leverage is like key to a lot of these tools. So, especially hand tools. And so, kind of keeping on Harry's theme of nail pulling, I don't have as cool a nail puller as Harry has, but I've got this one, which I just picked up about a year ago. I keep forgetting left, right, and it works similar. You've got the jaws. These go around the head of a nail, or in my line of work, I'm pulling a lot of casings and trim boards in that where there's no nail head, so you use this to pull the nails out through the back of the board. So I don't have a slick demonstration, but this tool, and this is what I used to use, is this pair of nipping pliers for rocking out pulling a nail. But these two, this one more so, since it has this nice angled and longer handles here, or nice arch, gives you a lot of pull for pulling out a nail through a board, or pulling out if you can get it onto the head of a nail, pulling it out of that way. So.
I think a lot of people realize that when you've got trim that you're pulling out and the nails go through, it's better to pull them out through the back than trying to tear up the molding of trim to get it from the front.
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, because if you push them back through, you're going to pop the face of the board or splintered there. So
Well, you guys are giving me an idea for a class this summer. I think we should go to a flea market and look for film, and you guys.
I hope to see flea markets opened this summer. I miss them a lot.
Oh, but that could be a really fun class about how you can find things at a flea market or a thrift store of tools. Harry, what do you have to share for us?
Okay, well, a lot of people didn't see this, and there was a video I was showing to my college class, and they were wondering what it is. And it's called a Yankee Screwdriver. And the way this thing works is when you put the head on the screw and you push it, it twists. And you can see that there's some kind of unique gearing in it, because it also, you can change it, and I got to remember how to do that with this one, to go the other way and take the screws out. And this is something my grandfather had. And my grandfather was quite a carpenter. He was one of the chief wood cabinet makers for Ford Motor Company. And it's one of the neatest tools. But obviously, when you're trying to use this, you're still using a lot of muscle power. And as things have changed, we've gone now to these, the drill drivers. And honestly, in today's money, or the money at this time, this thing probably cost as much as a reasonably cost drill driver.
But it's so much longer. Can't you reach into places that you couldn't reach with the drill driver?
I'm sure you could. Okay, and it comes in handy. Obviously, there's no power. The battery goes about. You got something like this. This one shows a flat head screwed, which, of course, at that time, that was about the only thing they had. There weren't anything with the cross points or the star points. I find when I use this thing, it slips a lot and marks the surface because of the flat top. And I don't have a bit that would fit this particular unit with a cross point or a star bit. Besides that, this is so much easier.
But not nearly as cool to look at.
It isn't as cool, but I also have some long extensions for this too, so I can sneak into some pretty tight areas.
Sam had something really long last time you did class for us, didn't you? Didn't you have some long that you were reaching in with?
right, yeah. So longer bits for my impact driver. Yep.
Oh man, Gary, it's getting harder and harder to come up with something cool. What do you have?
Well, I'll go back to the screwdriver. The very simple 6-way screwdriver. Amazingly inexpensive today, but it's 6-way because we have 2 this way, 2 this way, and we have 2 different size of nut driver going on here too. So that's these are things I toss in my back pocket, and I head off and try to make something happen and go. And then recently, I was showing different ways to get leverage. You can also leverage out here. There are ways to get a little bit out that way. And then recently I figured out that I can take this out of one and put it on and give myself considerable extension there. And there are times that that's just what it takes to get where you're going. And, one of the not secrets we all know is it's getting that last fastener. that last fastener that's hung up the whole project. So we all have ways of doing that. Okay.
I think that screwdriver is one of the first things you should have in your toolbox, or your kitchen drawer, or your junk drawer, or the glove compartment of your car, whatever. It can be used for so many things. I got mine out today at the gas station because the door for my gas cap wouldn't open. It was frozen. It was full of ice. So wait, and I got it out and I know it's not what you're supposed to do with it, but I used it and chopped all the ice out of the door of my over my gas cap, and then I could fill my car.
And next spring, when you notice that the paint's all chipped, duct tape.
We'll go to duct tape next.
Okay.
So many things you can do with duct tape that don't have anything to do with home repairs, too. Sam, what are you going to top all this with?
All right. I don't know if I can.
I bet you can.
Are there any questions from the audience or anything?
Not yet, but please.
Okay.
Send us
Well,
a
Harry, what's that?
I say if you're watching and you have a question, please type it in.
Harry went with the nail pullers. I've typically used 3 for different jobs, so I'm just going to set those aside and pass on that. One other thing that I do sometimes is a little carving. So these are kind of the last of my hand tools, and I have what's called a spoke shave, or a draw knife, excuse me, and a carving axe. And these are handy for on occasion when you need to do round pole framing or roughing out a piece. These are easy hand tools that work very effectively as long as you keep them in good shape. This is typically used for either debarking a tree or creating working a log down a round pole so that it gets the shape that you want. And you can use it for roughing out if you're carving utensils. And same with the hatchet. This hatchet is good for roughing out spoons shapes or knives if you're carving that. And it's very handy and lightweight, and you can use it for splitting kindling, all sorts of things.
I'm so glad you guys are my friends with all those tools.
Well, I got to say, I'm loving these older tools. I mean, that spoke shave, that's got to go back hundreds of years. I mean, it's a great tool to have. So
flea markets are great. I found this one. I don't know if you can see the hole in the handle. It was used as a display at a business or a restaurant. Someone had screwed through it and just like stuck it on the wall, as a thing. And they were, somebody was getting rid of everything. So I definitely picked that up. The hatchet though is new. So there's still people making hatchets. So I couldn't find one that I wanted. I looked for a year or so at different flea markets and antique dealers. So had to break down and buy one.
Well, but it's so much fun. It gives you a real good reason to have to go to a flea market, doesn't it? in case you need an excuse for your other half.
Right.
Harry, have you found good things at a flea market, or do you have something newer to show us?
Well, kind of a combination of two. Although I didn't find this at a flea market, I did find it on a rehab job that I was on one time. And it's a folding yardstick. Okay, so comes in 3 little sections. It's one of the neatest things to use. It fits in a tool belt or a pocket, and you still got the yardstick. That kind of goes back to where in the early days of construction, And so I'm going to bring up a little newer tool, but this one's has got a granddaddy. This is a folding rule. And this is one of my favorite tools because if you're measuring for finished work, particularly if you got to measure inside, it's also got an extension so you can get a good inside accurate measurement. These things have been around, well, I would have to say well over 100 years. Again, as I said, my grandfather was a cabinet maker, carpenter for Ford Motor Company, but he also built his own home. And at that time, he used this for his measuring to build the home. And I mean, he's done beautiful cabinetry. If you've ever had a chance to be at the Henry Ford Museum, that beautiful teak wood floor that's in there, he was on the crew that did that. And that, of course, after a while led to something like this, which we all know about, the tape measure. Because the tape measure can go out 12, 16, even as much as 30 feet. It fits in a tool belt much easier. It's a little more accurate, but I still use one of these more often probably than I use this.
It's so much fun to see how tools have progressed. That would be a really great class too. Of it started this way and it's grown to, like the drill driver. Gary.
Well, keep in mind that the simple carpenter square, that same device was used in building the pyramids. Well, not my device, but a simple square was used to build those, something like that. Because as I've told many people, no matter how construction changes, square is square, plumb is plumb, and level is level. And that doesn't change no matter what you're doing.
Well,
And water rolls downhill.
Plumbers know that.
Right.
Well, what I find really interesting.
Hot on the left, right on the cold, or cold on the right.
And Friday's payday.
Yes.
I'm finding it really interesting with the three of you who do construction and carpentry and things that I don't do, but I sew, and I have so many tools that do the same types of functions as you do. I have my seam ripper, which takes things out, my cloth tape measure, which measures things. I use a T-square. I use a cutting board that has a grid on it. It's just, I'm fascinated that things are so tied together for two different types of construction, because I guess I'm doing construction also, just with fabric instead of with wood. So, Gary, I know you have something else to share.
Well,
I use you to go get the other one ready.
Okay. Well, I must say I did not bring my classiest tools, but my go-to to get something done tools. So these really aren't, and they're kind of grimy, but wire strippers, just nice old-fashioned wire strippers. This isn't even my newest pair, but down here we open, close, and strip wire, cut wire, crimp terminals up in the top. And then what's really useful in any line, even the carpentry, is to be able to cut off a long screw to exactly the length you want and have the threads not boogered up. And that's what this does. You can cut it off to exactly what you need, and away you go. So that's the wire stripper, and I will go set myself up for the very practical and not classy at all item.
Okay. Sam, you're up again.
I got to say that that wire stripper, I didn't learn that had a rethreader element to it for a number of years. I had no idea what those holes were for on a wire stripper. And that was like having to cut a lot of bolts for, say, when you're putting on a knob on a drawer on a cabinet, you know, a lot of times you have to buy bolts that are slightly deeper than the bolts that or the nut or screws that they come with. I'm kind of worried about what Gary's doing.
I am.
Oh,
But
it's a surprise. Just
but
wait.
being able to thread on there was being able to, after you've cut those bolts to fit, and then being able to rethread the ends or clean them up a bit so that they will go onto the knob was a nice feature to learn. What I've got, my next tool, and is a voltage sensor. And so in doing a lot of construction, I end up having to remodel or working around the electrical. And this works simply, you turn it, you know, hit a button and it is able to detect a current in either a wall or near an outlet. If you're checking an outlet to know if it's hot or not, you can use this and it makes that beeping noise. I don't know if you can see the light very well or not. There's a little sensitivity knob to adjust on it. So it can pick up just the circuit that you're working on. But if I'm cutting into a wall, if I'm trying to abandon an outlet or a light switch, or if I think I'm trying to find the breaker to make sure that a circuit is off, I'll double check with this to make sure I don't get shocked or electrocute myself. I wish I had this sooner in my life. After being bit a few times by a circuit. So
That sounds like a tool that you would recommend that people have in their toolbox.
Yeah, if you're doing any electrical work, it's good to know if it's hot or not. And especially in older houses where you find old knob and tube wiring or wiring that looks a little suspect, or you come across a splice that's been made and kind of buried in a wall or in an attic, you can check and see if it's hot or not, or if there's a current there, and then address it so you don't have a fire hazard.
Well, and wouldn't it be good to check, even if you're just going to, let's say, cut a hole in your drywall, you want to make sure you're not going to cut a wire that would pick that
Yep.
up too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I've carried those in my pocket now when I'm doing any kind of reconstruction. Because there's been a few times that I've taken a pair of wire cutters and turned them into wire strippers by just blowing through a circuit, and it's chewed a hole in them because it was supposed to be off, but it wasn't. So
that's hard on your. Go ahead. I was going to say that, and when you cut a wire like that and they arc, that light is blinding for a while. You're seeing spots. So,
yeah. I guess this should be where we throw in, if you're going to do anything electrical, go turn it off before you start, and then still check it. Don't ever assume it's really off.
Well, as Sam said, a lot of times if you're coming in to do work on the side, you don't know what you're running into. There might be a circuit that really isn't even able to turn off. You run into some crazy things when you're dealing with other people's work.
And especially older homes where
exactly
been buried over the years. Having lived in several older homes, it's you check and then you check and then you check again. It's not measure twice, cut once. It's check 4 or 5 times before you touch something that might hurt you. But Harry, what do you have next?
Well, I'm staying with the historic vintage tool theme. And this is something, again, I picked up. Actually, my dad picked this up from my grandfather. And this is called a geared plier wrench. And I actually ended up looking this up on eBay today. It's been around for a while. This has you can pull it out and you can adjust the jaws. and it's a nice square rather than like a pair of pliers, which kind of grab in a circular form. This is parallel, so you can actually use it as a wrench. And I found that, I mean, this is the only one I have, but it actually, when they made these things back in Chicago, and this comes in the early 30s, they made it so that they had several jaws that you could actually change the length considerably. I still use this thing. I mean, I use it quite a bit because it's handy. And a lot of times I don't have to turn a nutter bolt. As I said, I'm broadcasting from my brewery, which serves as my workroom. And when the weather's so bad, there's a lot of nuts that I have to tighten up on various parts. This one hangs around and even has a handy little screwdriver on the end.
You guys are just amazing me with the things you have found to share. And Gary, you're going to do a live demonstration, right?
With this one?
No, Gary, I think you could pull teeth.
Oh, with the beer. Okay, I can do that.
There you go. There you go.
Gary,
Well,
I think you should leave that out for when your grandchildren get removed.
yes.
I bet you it would grab a loose tooth really well.
So
Okay,
this is my favorite way to clean a sink drain, and just really simple, practical, and a homeowner would like to do this. First, you take your shop vac, take the dry filter out of it. Make sure it's a shop vac that can go both ways, wet or dry. Set it up for wet. That's what we're going to be doing, and we're going to try to clean the sink with it. And it's really pretty simple. We just go to the clogged sink and open it. The bigger the hose, the better. Go over the drain and clog up sometimes a dish rag or whatever, or a wash rag or whatever. Clog up the overflow lines with your fingers here. Turn on the power and suck the whatever is plugging this line. Now this will only clear us as far as the vent line. We know that the vent's gonna relieve to us here. And then run hot water. Run a lot of hot water. Do it again. Pull more out. Pull the hair off. Run this repeatedly. Run the hottest water you can for several minutes. And if need be, get underneath and take the plunger out. You'll get even better performance if you do that. But a lot of times this is enough to really do the job, and we're not having to use the nasty chemicals. We're not tearing the trap apart, and it works. So I will move on out.
Oh, that's wonderful. And most people have a shop vac, and most people get a clogged drain now and then. Here's your answer, direct from Gary, the plumber.
Yeah.
Sam, I saw you giggling. You're going to try that next time you have a clogged drain?
Yeah, I probably will, because I've made a mess of things. That some of the stuff you pull out of a clogged P-trap or whatever there can be not smell very nice, but two, get on you at the same time. So
Or this way it would go right down that hose and maybe be a little less to clean up.
Right.
Well, and you're standing right next to a toilet to dump the shop vac into.
Oh, good point.
Yeah. So it's
As long as your clogged drain's in the bathroom. Mine's usually in the kitchen, but
oh well, okay. Variation there, but it does work. Yes.
but it's still not that far to a place to dump it, so it's okay.
I found it's a really practical way and another reason to buy a shop vac.
Sam, I expect a report if you try it. I want to know if it works for you.
Will do. You'll be the first one I text. All right.
Please do.
All right.
I'm fascinated by very strange things sometimes. So. What do you have next, Sam? Do you have one or two tools?
Oh, I got a bunch of tools laying here.
Pick one.
I'm going to just pick this one. This is a block plane and a low angle block plane that I typically use in finish work or shaping a piece of wood to fit molding or an irregular surface. And this one, the low angle block plane is also good for planing pieces of end grain wood. So that's why I like this. And then I found a new trick or a new little hack for these. You know, the blade sticks out the bottom of the shoe. And that's what you want to keep sharp. But what can happen in your toolbox is the things can ding that or knock it up. So I found that having these thin magnets that some businesses hand out, like little what are they? Refrigerator magnet, but it's, you know, like their card, a magnetized card. It fits nicely on the bottom of your block plane, and then will protect the blade at the same time. So
And your
kind of a
in the toolbox.
right, you know, hopefully you've adjusted it back, but that'll keep things from dinging it, and because you spend some time keeping that sharp, and you want it to stay that way. So
Great, yeah.
all right,
Anything sharp in your toolbox. Everybody
exactly.
needs a Band-Aids for your toolbox. Very important tool, a Band-Aid. Harry, how many more tools do you have? I'm just looking at.
Oh, I got a ton of them. I can do a couple, but you tell me how many more you want me to do. I'll do two or I'll do one.
Do one.
Do one?
Yep.
Okay.
Then hopefully we can get around one more time.
All right. Well, we'll see. Sam, I just want to say that's a great idea, because I always just back the blade back, and it's just a pain in the neck to keep moving it back and forth. I like that magnet idea, so I'll keep that one in mind. All right, I'm going to show you what I consider my favorite two tools to have in my toolbox, or at least with me, and that's a checkbook and a credit card, because it's just too often we try to do things that that's over our ability, or at my age, what I don't want to do anymore. And it's just better off to call somebody. And when you do that, call and make sure it's somebody you can depend on, somebody who's reliable, and have no problem writing the check or dropping this credit card off to them.
Tree
That is
trimming.
wonderful.
Taking down trees. I will pay.
I did a whole lot this year because we had a 110-year-old oak that the carpenter ants decided they loved a whole lot.
Oh.
Well, Gary, it's going to be hard to top your shop vac tool, but are you going to show us that roll of lovely stuff you showed at the very beginning?
Actually,
valuable tool.
this little tiny pair of vice grips, and I've got bigger ones, but genuine vice grips, and they've got a little wire cutter in there. That's well and good, but there are so many times that the head is stripped off of a screw or a bolt, and you get in there with your vice grips. And again, as you clamp on there, you adjust in, leave up, crank in a little more, try it again, a little more, try it again. Sink that sink those teeth into the metal as tight as you can, and then go to work with it. Again, a tool you have to know how to make the best use of. Otherwise, you'll give it a bad name.
Well, Harry reminded me of one of my favorite tools, so I'm going to interrupt and take a turn.
Okay.
My phone. I hate having to go to the big box store or the little box store more than once, especially if it's a part that I can't get apart to take with me. Oh, look, you get to see my entire phone. Take a picture. If you're taking something apart before you go to Lowe's or Home Depot or Menards, take a picture so that you remember what it's supposed to look like when you put it back together. So you have a picture of your part. People take a lot of scenery. I take a lot of parts and pieces pictures, or how can I fix it picture, or what can I make picture with my phone. It is my reference as much as it is my memory collector. Oh, if you've got a phone that you can take a picture and take a picture of whatever you need from the store, it could save you trip number 2 and 3 and 5 and 10, and and you can't go and buy just one thing either. So it'll save you lots of money. Sam, can you tap my phone?
All I have is a notepad, Gene. So.
Well, yeah, but you know what you want, and I don't.
What do you got there, Gary?
A well-worn little pocket meter. So as much as I like the sniffer, there's also times that the meter that we can get ohms and volts and everything we want there, and check batteries. This carries over to automotive stuff. You name it. So that's a favorite. And I've got another recent favorite here. Metric bolt pin plate. This is quite handy if you get into any automotive stuff today. Figure out what on earth. We old timers were not that familiar with the metric thread system, so this really helps matters.
Great. Go ahead, Sam. What do you have?
All right, I'm on to my power tools now. A Sawzall for remodeling comes in real handy. This is a cordless one, which was hesitant buying it first because I didn't think it would have the same amount of power as a corded tool. But this has never disappointed. It's versatile. It's not very pretty in its cuts, so it's not a finishing tool, but it gets the job done. This one has what's called a rafter hook on it, so if you're working someplace, you can hang it off a 2x4 or some sort of 2x or hook it onto something. Especially if you're elevated or up on a ladder or something, this comes in real handy. So.
Okay, Harry, what's your favorite of what you have left? Show us.
Well, this one I'll just kind of end up with this one. I keep this in my toolbox. This is a 4-way file, and I'm going to see if I can bring. Okay, there it is. You can see it's got a rasp edge, very rough on one side, a smoother file on the other. And the reason it's 4-way is because you can turn around, and I do it this way. You can see that one side's a little rounded. So it's got a rounded rasp and a rounded file. Not one of the best ones to have because a full rasp or a full file is much better, but this one fits in a toolbox, in a tool belt, and it's there when you need it.
How about Gary? Show us that lovely silver roll. Come on.
Well, I gotta show you a pocket knife first.
Oh, okay.
I've carried a pocket knife since 1963. But yes, I use the duct tape from time to time too. So,
Sam, do you carry a pocket knife?
I do carry a pocket knife. Yep.
Harry, do you carry a pocket knife?
Yes, I do.
How come girls don't carry pocket knives?
Don't
My
they?
wife does. Or
They don't-
she has in the past.
I
Did-
guess
Do you have a pocket knife, Gene?
no.
Maybe you could get that as an accessory for your phone.
Yes. I bet it would fit in this little pocket.
There you go.
I got vice grips for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
In fact,
Yeah.
even when we travel, we always have one of those little small, about so big utility Swiss Army type of knives, and it's got scissors, it's got tweezers, and I mean, obviously, it's a little more difficult because you got to put it in your check-in luggage. But once you get there, you can take it out, and you're out and about in some strange place, and there's always a time when scissors or tweezers come in handy.
Well,
And, and there's a corkscrew on there too, and that can come in handy too.
I carry scissors, I carry tweezers, I carry a sewing kit. So I guess I have the girl version of your toolbox in my car. But I can sew your button or fix the seam in your pants. So, well, I think we're close enough to wrapping up. I would like to thank all of you. I've had so much fun tonight. I hope people watching this have had as much fun and have learned. I mean, I've seen things tonight that I had no idea existed, or like the little rafter hook. I had no idea it had a name. I would have said the thing you hang it up with. So I'm just so thrilled that you guys shared so much with us, and hopefully we'll do this again. So think of some more fun, unique things that you can share, and maybe we'll come back and visit this topic again in a couple of months. Is anyone watching? Do you have any questions? If so, you can still send them to me at education. What was Sam's battery operator cutter called?
The Sawzall. I mean, I think it's technically called a reciprocating saw. So Sawzall is just a trade name, like Jello is for gelatin. So, but yeah, reciprocating saw.
Great. Thanks for the question, Dorothy. Glad you're watching tonight. If you need to borrow one of those, let us know. I think we have one if you would like to try it. So let us know. Give me a call, give me a text, send me an email, whatever. And if any of the rest of you have questions after viewing this at a later date, again, you can send your questions to education@communityhomeworks.org. We are still doing critical home repairs, can always use your financial support. And please share with any of your friends or neighbors that might need some critical home repairs. We have available funds and available time, and would certainly like to help people in need. Again, Sam, Harry, Gary, it was great to see you. Hopefully we'll be back together in person again soon. And thank you again. I had a great time. And Sam, smile. You had a good time too.
Sorry.
And I'm going to thank you for joining us this evening as well for this rebroadcast of our February workshop from 2021 on favorite hand tools. It was one of our favorite ones to produce and one of our most entertaining ones to watch. So I hope you enjoyed it this evening as well. If you do have comments for tonight, please put them down there in the comments section and we will try to get you an answer as soon as we can. Again, thank you for joining us. Have a great evening, everyone.